But when it's continuous, the kind most of us face day in and day out, it actually begins to change your brain. Chronic stress, like being overworked or having arguments at home, can affect brain size, its structure, and how it functions, right down to the level of your genes. Stress begins with something called the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, a series of interactions between endocrine glands in the brain and on the kidney, which controls your body's reaction to stress. When your brain detects a stressful situation, your HPA axis is instantly activated and releases a hormone called cortisol, which primes your body for instant action. But high levels of cortisol over long periods of time wreak havoc on the brain. For example, chronic stress increases the activity level and number of neural connections in the amygdala, your brain's fear center. And as levels of cortisol rise, electric signals in your hippocampus, the part of the brain associated with learning, memories, and stress control, deteriorate. The hippocampus also inhibits the activity of the HPA axis, so when it weakens, so does your ability to control your stress. That's not all though. Cortisol can literally cause your brain to shrink in size. Too much of it results in the loss of synaptic connections between neurons and the shrinking of your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that regulates behaviors like concentration, decision-making, judgment, and social interaction. It also leads to fewer new brain cells being made in the hippocampus. This means chronic stress might make it harder for you to learn and remember things, and also set the stage for more serious mental problems like depression and eventually Alzheimer's disease. The effects of stress may filter right down to your brain's DNA. An experiment showed that the amount of nurturing a mother rat provides its newborn baby plays a part in determining how that baby responds to stress later in life. The pups of nurturing moms turned out less sensitive to stress because their brains developed more cortisol receptors, which stick to cortisol and dampen the stress response. The pups of negligent moms had the opposite outcome, and so became more sensitive to stress throughout life. These are considered epigenetic changes, meaning that they affect which genes are expressed without directly changing the genetic code. And these changes can be reversed if the moms are swapped. But there's a surprising result. The epigenetic changes caused by one single mother rat were passed down to many generations of rats after her. In other words, the results of these actions were inheritable. It's not all bad news though. There are many ways to reverse what cortisol does to your stressed brain. The most powerful weapons are exercise and meditation, which involves breathing deeply and being aware and focused on your surroundings. Both of these activities decrease your stress and increase the size of the hippocampus, thereby improving your memory. So don't feel defeated by the pressures of daily life. Get in control of your stress before it takes control of you.
So I think this video does a great job of showing some of the long-term effects of stress and also how what we can do to kind of prevent those long-term effects of coming on. And we'll talk a little bit more about that further on. Um, but right now we're going to talk a little bit about what are some causes of stress for college students. We have a few listed here. This is not an exhaustive list of causes. Just kind of going through these, we see academic demands, test anxiety, changes in the living environment, finances, post-graduation plans, like what am I going to do for work? Where am I going to live? Relationships. See that a lot, you know, with quarantining and trying to figure out like, am I staying with family? And added stress, you know, of COVID-19, the pandemic is ongoing. You know, there's been a lot of changes to classrooms. Trying to figure out what a new normal might look like as restrictions are lifted and as we see more restrictions put back on, kind of figuring out that unknown. So just looking through that list, I'm sure you can see some of these that resonate with you. So our next discussion question, what do you think are some common warning signs of stress? So again, you can unmute yourself, use the chat function, but what are some common warning signs of stress?
I usually say, go ahead. Go ahead, whoever was speaking. Okay, all right, so I usually don't, I usually like, when there's a warning sign of stress, it's like they're trying to, get mad, they're trying to, like, throw chairs and all that, like, objects, and it's been like, a big, like stress, like, when, like, you're getting angry, you're, like, popping off, basically, and also you're starting to do, like, slack off on your work, basically.
Yeah, okay. So anger, not wanting to complete schoolwork or any work. Was there somebody else that was speaking?
Yeah, there was.
So in the chat, I see withdrawal from social interactions, lack of sleep, oversleeping or not sleeping, overeating, worrying about more than one thing, overeating or overreacting, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are really great common warning signs of stress. I see a few more people typing. Sorry, Elaine.
Okay.
All right. So we can go ahead and move on. Just going to talk briefly about the responses of stress. And we kind of have these broken down into 4 categories: physical, emotional, cognitive, and behavioral. So starting with physical, you can see here some of the responses include headaches, fatigue, clenched teeth, changes in weight. So some of y'all mentioned that. Under emotional, responses can include irritability, so anger kind of falls under that, trouble coping, feeling overwhelmed. So you might see here, like, not really wanting to do schoolwork, not really wanting to give it your all. Moving on to the cognitive responses, trouble concentrating, chronic worrying, unwanted thoughts. You might have thoughts that just kind of pop in your head, anxious thoughts and feelings. And then finally, with behavioral, these could be, like a lot of people mentioned, the change in sleep habits, social isolation. That was another one mentioned. Pacing. So you guys did a really great job coming up with the responses of stress.
So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about the different types of stress. And the video that we watched before touched on these, but going into some more detail, acute stress is, the most common and the result of recent stressors. This is the type of stress that we all experience, are all very familiar with. And just like we touched on earlier, this can be both negative or positive. A positive example might be excitement before a fun event, something you have planned can cause a bit of stress and anxiety. Whereas a negative example can be something, like getting into a car accident or stress before an exam. Acute stress, the key here is that it's time limited. It does happen to everyone. Episodic stress is acute stress that occurs more frequently. It can be continuous, and sometimes you might notice a pattern. So, for example, during finals week, that might be a good example of episodic stress. And it's usually accompanied by a lot of those emotional symptoms or signs that Amanda was going over earlier, like worry, angst, could be anger. Um, this is often found in people who have what's called like a type A personality. Folks that are maybe very ambitious might struggle with perfectionism, wanting to get things done with a sense of urgency. And then chronic stress, this is the type that can affect our health, right? It's thought of by the person experiencing it as never-ending stress. It can be very overwhelming, and again, you might start to see more of those physical signs here, like headaches, trouble sleeping, and eating. Another chat question for you all. Again, feel free to write your response or unmute yourselves. What do you do when you're feeling stressed?
So in the chat, I see listen to music, breathing,
Mhm.
play video games, try to listen to music and keep to myself.
Those are all really great
Um,
examples. Oh, go
go to
ahead.
the gym. Sorry, there's a couple people still
That's okay.
typing. I know you can't see it. Sorry. Pray. Okay.
Yeah, thank you everyone for sharing how you manage stress, engaging with your hobbies. I heard music is a big one for me as well. I heard exercise, connecting with your religion or spirituality. Here are a few more examples that you might try. Some of you did, of course, mention these, but practicing self-care. And this, means dedicating time to self-care. It can be hard with all of our busy schedules, but it is important to take that time. You can't pour from an empty cup. So we need to find ways to intentionally make room for things like hobbies or connecting with our loved ones. Finding ways to focus. This can be a change in environment, seeking out social support, so reaching out to other people when you are feeling stressed and letting them know how you feel. Limiting your social media consumption or other media, diet, and sleep, so taking care of our basic physical needs. One of you mentioned breathing, and we will go through a breathing exercise together in a couple of slides. Acknowledging your feelings. We will also talk more about how our thoughts affect our feelings and how to notice these things later on. Engaging in healthy activities. You all mentioned some really great ones. And finally, even if you are doing all of these things, it is still normal to experience stress. We do have, professional resources on campus with wellness counseling, as well as other resources we can get you connected to if you feel like you need that additional layer of support. So take some time when you are feeling stressed or anxious to notice that feeling and express it without judgment. So, for example, noticing that you're feeling anxious without attaching that to a thought like, I shouldn't feel this way, I'm overreacting. Usually, we tend to be our own worst critics. So, imagine what you might say to a friend or a loved one if they were struggling with similar feelings, and try to show yourself that same level of compassion. Some action steps here can include journaling, getting your feelings out of your head and onto paper, talking with someone you trust, engaging in any type of creative arts, or seeking counseling, that professional help. Breathing, when practiced regularly, can provide both immediate and long-term relief from stress and anxiety. So if you remember the video from earlier talking about cortisol or our stress hormone, breathing actually can work to regulate that. You might find it difficult at first to get into deep breathing techniques. And as a little tip, if you find that it isn't working, try to slow down a little bit. The most common mistake is breathing too fast. And as I mentioned, we're going to watch a video next. Feel free to practice this exercise, or you can just listen and try it on your own if you're not comfortable.
Mindful breathing. Close your eyes and rest your hands on your knees. Bring your attention to the touch of your body on your seat. Feel the weight of your body on your chair or cushion. Make sure that your back is straight and that you're comfortable. take a few deep breaths. While you're breathing deeply, relax your shoulders, your stomach muscles, the muscles in your face, your hands, and your legs. Let go of all the tightness in your body. Now bring your attention back to your breath. Notice what it feels like as it enters through your nose, goes down through your throat, filling your lung, and back out through your nose. Notice your stomach and chest rise and fall each time you breathe in and each time you breathe out. And just allow your breathing to be natural and relaxed. Now bring your attention to the feeling of your breath in your nose. Feel your breath as it comes in and goes out. Just focus on this sensation, paying attention to each time you breathe in and each time you breathe out. As you inhale, maybe your breath feels cool. And as you exhale, maybe it feels a little warmer. When your mind wanders, or if you become distracted, just notice what's going on in your head, and then gently bring your attention back to your breath, going in and out. Focus on the feeling of your breath and allow thoughts and feelings to come and go in the background. Now gently bring your attention back to the touch of your body on your seat and open your eyes.
So this video serves as a really brief introduction to mindful breathing, and if this is something you want to try, say you are someone that does suffer from chronic stress or episodic stress frequently, when you do start to try deep breathing, I would recommend going on YouTube or on Spotify and finding these type of guided breathing exercises. It's a lot easier getting started with someone walking you through it rather than sitting and focusing on your breathing in silence. Going back a little bit to how our thoughts affect our feelings, I'd like you all to think about, what is in your control, because there is a lot in our world that is unpredictable right now. Our body does respond to what we're thinking about. So if you are feeling worried, your body's natural reaction might be to tense up. So the next time you may notice some tension in your shoulders or your neck, maybe a headache, pay attention to what you're thinking about. If you think about, things that are not in your control, your mind might spiral with those worries. So try to focus again on the things that are here in the present moment and within your control, like your breathing, for example, or the activities that you choose to engage in. You can practice mindfulness by paying attention to the present moment wherever you are. You want to think about engaging all of your senses when possible. So taking, for example, something we all do every day, or we should, washing our hands, you might pay attention to the way the soap feels on your hands, its texture and the smell. You can notice the feeling of water, and if you might see some bubbles. There are some great apps that can help you with mindfulness exercises. We'll go over a few examples later on. But the key here is that, anxiety and stress take us out of the present, and practicing mindfulness can bring us back, make us feel grounded and calm those runaway thoughts. We have another video kind of breaking down mindfulness. I'm sure this is something you all might have heard of, but this video does show some people's experiences both before and after practicing mindfulness.
Before I tried mindfulness, I felt threatened all the time.
Really disillusioned with life.
Confused,
Tired, stressed, frustrated,
scattered all over the place.
overwhelmed, anxiety over the future, worried. It was kind of taking over my life. I tried mindfulness because I felt stressed out. I was very concerned with the future and what my day was going to look like tomorrow and everything that was happening.
My life was always about what happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future. So by doing mindfulness, I live much more in the now. It is just a different approach to life.
We all experience difficult challenges in our life, like stress, pain, and depression. Mindfulness can give us resilience to rise above those challenges and live life more fully. Mindfulness is a particular type of meditation where we bring our awareness to the present moment. We can let go of the past, let go of the future, live life more fully, more joyfully.
We all are too busy. I think it's a thing that everybody's just so busy all the time right now.
You always have something that you have to do, or you're always going towards a certain goal. And mindfulness is just taking a moment to look at your life without any expectations.
Take time for yourself rather than getting carried off in all the daily activities that you have.
Mindfulness can be practiced by anyone, no matter what your religion, your age, or your background. We don't have to wait until we have time to do like a formal sitting meditation to practice mindfulness. We can bring that same mindful awareness to any activity that we're doing through our daily lives. So walking can be a meditation. Eating our lunch, brushing our teeth, being creative, painting, writing, or playing music can get us deeply in touch with the present moment. Mindfulness is available anytime, anywhere.
It's a tool and skill that you can use for the rest of your life, and it's easy through simple daily or not daily exercises.
I mean, it just keeps us all just calm and present, and I think that that's healthy for anybody.
It can be beneficial for everyone, and you just have to go in with an open mind and take everything slowly instead of trying to get through life quickly and do as much as I can and as fast as I can do it. Instead, just enjoy everything you do and maybe look at life from a more positive perspective.
So I really invite you all to try it, to experience it, and to see for yourself how mindfulness might be able to affect and transform your own life.
What I really in particular appreciate about this video is they bring attention to, mindfulness doesn't have to be a sitting practice that you dedicate separate time to each day. Simple activities like having a shower or brushing your teeth can be opportunities to practice noticing your senses and what's around you and really enjoying that moment. I did want to also take a minute to point out a fairly new resource that Wellness Services is offering, and this is called Therapy Assistance Online, or TAO for short. So this can be either an app that you download, or you can use it on a computer, tablet, whatever device you have. You have free access using your WakeTech email address to over 150 tools for stress, anxiety, depression, and really a wide range of mental health and wellness topics. So we have the link here to register. Again, use your WakeTech email address, and your use of this tool is anonymous. So Amanda and I do not have access to who is logging in, what sessions they're using. It can be used, again, alongside wellness counseling if you're talking with Amanda and I, or as an anonymous self-help tool. If you do have any trouble registering or anything like that, you can always reach out to Amanda or I. Some additional resources that you might want to check out. Adult coloring books are a wonderful way to practice mindfulness or just soothe yourself and do something really enjoyable. There are a ton of free apps to practice meditation, breathing, and mindfulness. Some of these are Headspace, Insight Timer, Calm, and Happify. There are free versions of some of these apps, and then some have paid content as well, but I do recommend that you check some of them out. Also did want to just remind everyone that Amanda and I are available for you if you do want to talk with a counselor one-on-one. There are a few ways you can get in touch with us. You can send us a direct email, and we have our contact information here. You can also visit the wellness website, wellness.waketech.edu, and if you click appointments and contacts, you can schedule an appointment at your convenience. Sessions are, of course, free to Wake Tech students, and even if you're not currently enrolled, we can still get you connected to community resources as well. So we're always a good first stop for any mental health concerns that you might have. Sessions are, of course, private and confidential. Counseling records are not a part of your academic records, and no one would ever find out that you came to talk to us unless you provided your written consent for that. We do have a survey, and as some of you may have heard, if you do complete the survey, you'll be entered in a drawing at the end of Advising Awareness Week. There will be gift cards ranging from $25 to $100. So there is the QR code there that you can scan, and Amanda will also post a text URL in the chat. But at this point, we'd like to open the floor for any questions that you all might have.